We're not the same thing for anyone, but we're something for everyone. With packing, shipping, printing, and more. We're the one-stop, right around the corner, everything you need to make your small business be unstoppable store. The UPS Store.
Visit your local UPS store at 1831 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Suite.
The UPS Store can help your small business with more ings than you realize. Shipping, packing, and boxing save you time for creating. Returning, printing, and shredding free you up to focus on designing. And notarizing, mailing, and mailboxing let you do more inspiring. For any ing you need, visit a convenient location near you and get back to playing. Every ing for small business, all in one place.
The UPS Store.
Our certified packing experts make returns easy. Stop in today and we'll handle the rest.
Visit your local UPS store at 1831 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Suite 125 in Greenville, close to Walmart. Let's police the police as we police ourselves. Not all officers are bad. However, oftentimes than not, our loved ones don't seem to make it home. In the Black communities, many times we are left to wonder what happened to them. Did they end up in the hospital, jail, or morgue? We are left to constantly fight in the streets for justice. We will focus on better ways to get justice and how to restore our communities while discussing hot topics that matter to us the most. Let's focus on building a better community as we build better Blackness with Angela Buckner. The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they may represent or affiliate with. And welcome. I want to say this is my inaugural, but it's not. I have had Building Better Blackness for quite some time. So what I'm doing is resurrecting it. And on tonight, I have some special guests. First of all, we have Mr. Lonzo Silas from my hometown. He has started his own podcast, and I've been watching him. He's been making waves, and we want to continue to watch him grow, but we want to bring him in on the show so you guys can know more about his platform. And we also have Brother John C. Barnett. Please, if you're out there, share this. And I just want to let you know that if you are leaving comments, please leave the comments on our YouTube page, our backup channel, The Mic Magazine, or you can leave your comments on the Mic Magazine, MIC Magazine professional page on Facebook. Now, I am going to bring on my guest because we got a packed night tonight, okay? Got Brother John C. Barnett, and he has the brother from the Montgomery Broal who's going to speak to us. And this will be one of few interviews that he's done. And so we are so grateful to have them on the show. We're getting ready to bring them in. And if you don't know about the Montgomery Broal, I'm going to play a quick snippet so you guys can get an understanding of what we mean. And welcome guys to the show. Lonzo, I want you to introduce yourself briefly. Let everybody know who you are for those who don't know you.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your platform. I really do appreciate it. My name is Lonzo Silas, but to everyone else, they know me as Catfish. And I recently started Catfish in the Fishbowl. You know what I mean? I'm doing my episodes every Thursday at 8 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on IG. You know what I mean? So just make sure that you come check us out. We talk about everything that's going on in social media but I'm also talking about tackling some important issues today. We talked about the importance of getting the enrollment up at Mississippi Valley State University, but we have a number of things that we talk about. So I'm just, glad that you have your platform as well. I've been watching you for a while, and I appreciate everything that you've been doing over the years, not just now, but when you were doing stuff in print. I've just always been an admirer of what you have been doing. So thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. Can you mute right quick? And I'm going to talk to Mr. Damian Pickett. Mr. Pickett, everybody is concerned about you and your situation. I'm getting some feedback from somewhere. Is Brother John C. Barnett on his show, on his phone?
He's right here.
Somebody is giving feedback.
Might be the background.
Oh, okay. Well, I know everybody is concerned about you. You are the one who sent out that bat signal, is what we call it. I'm sorry. And now we thought it was over with, but we're finding out that they are trying to charge you. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
I'm surprised just as you are. I know nothing about it. But at the same time, it's just a mockery. I don't understand. How can you charge someone for being attacked?
Mm-hmm.
That's the part I don't get.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want you to know that we saw Aquaman swim across there.
Yeah.
He spoke at, I think you guys went to Jamal Bryant's church, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, New Birth.
Talk a little bit about why you guys were there.
We're just trying to get the word out like it's not going to happen anymore. Everybody was sitting there recording, but no one was doing nothing about it.
Mm-hmm. And now I saw in one clip where it looked like people who were in authority were standing away and just watching, looking down. Were those?
I seen that too.
Yes, I went back and watched it tonight. And you would think that they would have intervened, but they were standing there as spectators.
Yes, they were.
Now, the thing about this, Brother John C. Barnett paid you a visit. He paid you a visit back in August.
Yes, it is.
But you were very apprehensive about speaking to the media. But now you're talking to us, and I understand now that you have the courage to do so. Why didn't you want to talk to us in the beginning?
It was a lot on my plate. I'm not used to this type of stuff. It was a lot on my plate at the time. So I had people coming to my house, knocking on my doors in the middle of the night, spending the night in my parking lot, recordings and stuff. So I'm like,
and I imagine they wanted to hear your side of the story. As opposed to just watching the video footage and speculating. Now, Lonzo, do you have any questions for Mr. Damian Pickett?
Well, I don't necessarily have any questions, but I would like to say that we stand in solidarity with you.
Yes, we do.
And at the end of the day, anyone that is on their job, that's out there trying to do their job, should not be attacked and be criticized for defending themselves while they are trying to make a living. And so hopefully with all of the footage that has been released from everything that happened on August the 5th, with all of the footage, any potential charges that are brought up against you, I hope that the systems in Alabama would come to their senses, realize that all of those charges personally should be dropped, thrown away, and just over with, because it is asinine to believe that someone who is defending themselves be charged with a crime, especially when those that have attacked you are that they're not receiving as much attention as they should. Because if the roles had been reversed, best believe it would have gone a completely different way. So we stand in solidarity with you, and hopefully the rest of America will be able to see and understand that we need to stand behind Brother Pickett, and we need to make sure that we do all that we can to ensure that nothing happens to you unjustly.
Right.
And I understand that you told Robin Roberts, I think it was today, that you just wanted to go to work. You were
That's
just
it.
working.
Just working.
Never
Enough to
thought
go
that
at the job.
off the way that it did, because now we're saying that August the 5th is going to be a holiday in the Black community, and you spearheaded some things, and you were only doing your job is what we saw, right? And
Right.
you have people who have different angles of what happened, and you did as much as you could for as long as you could, and from what I gather, you were trying to guide a boat in. How did that happen?
Yeah, they was hindering our vessel from parking. So their boats was in the way. So that's a violation within itself.
So what is the general rule when something like that happens?
They supposed to move their boat. They would just give me all type of gestures and hand signals like we're not moving it. So
now you find yourself on the end of seeking justice, and you were only doing your job. What is it that you want this outcome to be on tomorrow? I know there's a press conference.
Justice, period. If they did wrong, they should be punished for it to the max.
Mm-hmm. But the tables have turned, and we're talking about Alabama. We're talking about Montgomery, Alabama, right? In 2023. Is Brother John Barnett available to speak?
Yes, he is.
Can I speak with him, please?
Yeah. How y'all doing? Peace,
Hey,
peace,
Brother
family.
John C. Barnett. Now, for those who don't know, Brother John C. Barnett is the one who is out there, and he raised awareness of Shanquilla Robinson. He's been out there with Mike. We were there with Mike Brown, Freddie Gray. It's a lot of different places where he has been. And even here in Mississippi, with the Rankin County Goon Squad, he's been raising awareness around this nation about injustices happening in the Black community. Now, you talk with Damian Pickett after this, and you try to encourage him to get out there and use his voice and speak loudly. But here we are tonight. Talk a little bit about why you think he was kind of apprehensive. He said that he had a lot on his plate, but you deal with victims a lot. And what is your observation as it relates to them coming forth and having a voice and speaking loudly?
Well, I think one thing about growing a plant, you have to plant the seed first, and you have to wait for it to water. So if I had a rushed him in August and say, hey man, you need to get out here and do this, then I'm always patient with people, because I understand that somebody had to be patient with me. And I think the key was just, I planted a seed in August 10th. And then literally 90 days to the T, was October, which was November 9th. I'm sorry, November 10th. 90 days exactly. I get a call from Brother Damien, and he tells me, hey, I remember you came by my house. I dropped off a big jar of ginger candy for his mother.
Yeah.
I just made gifts, and I just sold the seed and said, if you ever need us, call us. But I didn't know that when he would call me, he would be facing third-degree assault charges.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he would not have a GoFundMe established. And all of the other parties have a GoFundMe. And he's such an humble individual. I'm learning that more and more now. Even dealing with him and hanging out with him today, and I'll be with him tomorrow. That he's an humble individual, very humble individual. But Muhammad Ali does have a quote, and he says, "I realize in life that humble people don't get far." Oh, wow. So it's my Muhammad Ali has that quote, and I looked it up today, and it's okay to be humble, but that's why he began to run his mouth. And so tomorrow is Brother Damien's opportunity to run his mouth. He's never spoke locally to a reporter. And so it's up to me to build that bridge in that press conference for tomorrow for him to just, now it's time to come out. Because sometimes God will back you up in a corner. Now you're facing charges. Now you have no choice but to fight. But he's not fighting alone. He got the whole world behind him, white and black,
Yes. So this press conference tomorrow, will this be a national press conference as well, or?
Yes, absolutely. Good Morning America contacted us. Capital B News, Broal and March, we're reaching out to them. All of the local news stations here in Montgomery, and then they're going to send the links to other stations as well. I have a lot of national contact numbers, which is a blessing. So I've been sending the press release out all day today. And so, yeah, this will be a national press conference on tomorrow. Good Morning America. Good Morning America, matter of fact, just asked for the press release because this is his first time speaking. The only person he's ever really spoke to and did a full-length interview was Good Morning America. That's it.
And that was
He
today.
wasn't even talking locally to the stations, to no one. So tomorrow, the stations will be here.
He spoke with Good Morning America this morning. Was it today?
No, that was about 2 months ago.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I thought it was just today.
Yeah, he did that about 2 months ago. 2 months ago.
And so he feel very honored.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you're like the first one. I'm be honest with you. Like no local news. This is exclusive. No local news in Montgomery. And so Robin Roberts sent a personal letter, and the lady that I know that I'm connected with at Good Morning America said that she ain't never wrote a letter in 20 years. She wrote a personal letter, which I have. I got a copy of it. She wrote a personal letter. Robin Roberts wrote a personal letter to him, and the contact that I know at Good Morning America, she said Robin has never done it. She don't have to. It's Good Morning America. You know what I'm saying? It's 5 million people watching.
Right. You don't have to write letters. But I think what happened is, like Lonzo said, even though that's a syndicated show, we are standing in solidarity with this man.
That's right.
He's like a brother, all of us, right?
That's right.
And for those who are just tuning in, we're going to play this video. And Brother Brian, I want you to take a look because Aquaman shows up on the scene. Hold on just a second. Now we didn't go as far as to get the folded hair and everything, but you know, he had a lot of major support. But what I noticed, brother John, is that there were people who were standing around who looked like they were authority figures, and they were serving as spectators as opposed to people who were supposed to intervene.
That's correct.
And I want answers from them. I would like to hear from them. Why did you and help this brother? Aquaman had to come all the way from another boat and body slam somebody and try and help this brother, and along with others. And that's what made it so significant, right? Like, this is modern day. This is 2023 happening in Alabama. Like, why is it that when you are given a directive not to block a spot, that you go back and forth as if you are entitled to be parked in that spot? And this brother was only doing his job. So I believe with Robin Roberts, with her writing that, penning her own letter, that spoke volumes, because she's from Mississippi. And we're from Mississippi, Lonzo and I. And again, we are standing in solidarity with Alabama. And we're wanting justice for this brother as well. But for her to write a letter, and she hadn't written one in 20 years, I think she understood what he was up against, and he didn't even have a clue.
Absolutely.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And I think it's just a matter of fear. I was telling somebody yesterday that when Rosa Parks, I just left like the area where this is my second time in Montgomery. I didn't know Rosa Parks had a museum. So, you know, that's the first stop I got in the morning with my Starbucks. But they got, like, it's elaborate. I'm talking about, they got billboards, the whole nine. But what my point is that when Rosa Parks was denied a seat on the bus, Beyonce and Oprah Winfrey didn't stand up. And what I mean by that is women didn't stand up. About 5 or 6 men stood up for that black woman that was beat up. Their names were Dr. King, Stokely Carmichael, Andrew Young, Jesse Jackson, and Brother Abernathy. My point is this: at the Million Man March in 1995, when I stood there with 61 speakers, Stevie Wonder being one of the speakers, they couldn't see us, but you could feel our spirit. I was able to see Betty Shabazz that day speak.
Oh, wow.
And so many other great leaders. But my point is that Minister Freckles, at the end of the day, that the black man, if he don't take his rightful place in this country and stand up for the black woman, then they're going to forever be raped, beat up like Sandra Bland, dogged, murdered, and the whole nine. So I think it's the black man's responsibility. And when you see a black man, Elijah Muhammad, I'm not a Muslim, I go to church, but I love the Muslims. Lord knows I do. Elijah Muhammad taught Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Farrakhan. He said that every time you see a black man, you're looking at God. So if we take on that type of spirit, that every time somebody beat or hit Damien upside the head, they hitting me. And I need to respond to that. And I think once we get everybody on that page, that I've spent time out of my schedule, put money in my gas tank to come to Montgomery 7 hours from North Carolina. And I'll do it again next week. Because when they hit Damien, they hit me. They hit my son that's 25. You know what I'm saying? The whole nine. My son Malik.
Yes. And Lonzo.
Yes.
Do you feel like, now he said Damien, they hit him. Do you feel like Mississippi, we like, that's my cousin? Did you feel like that's your honorary cousin that day?
Yeah.
You know,
Damien is everybody cousin. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing.
Shout out to Michael Jenkins. When they shot Michael Jenkins, I'm like, if don't nobody leave and come to Mississippi for Michael Jenkins, I'm coming from North Carolina. I've been to Mississippi about 15 times. And I'll come another 15 times. Once we started, and I didn't know this. When I went to the Million Man March in 1995, I said, man, why y'all so close, man? Why y'all brothers so close? Y'all brothers are tight. He said, brother, one day you will wake up and realize that once you find love in your heart, it'll be so strong that you'll find that love it'll emanate to other people. He said, but the problem with our people is that love is just succumbed and it's selfish. They just keep it within themselves and it doesn't grow. He said, once you get to that knowledge, then you'll be able to, understand what we're doing.
Absolutely. Lonzo.
Yes.
Was he your honorary cousin that day?
You know, the crazy thing initially when I first saw it, I was angered, right? I was angered because I'm trying to look at things from both sides of the coin, because yes, I am a black man, but I have previous law enforcement experience, right? And because of that, I'm trying to find the golden the line where this man may have potentially done something wrong, and you can't find anything that Mr. Pickett did wrong. You can't find a single solitary thing that he did wrong. And so now it goes from being angered to having empathy for a man who is working to provide for his family. No one should have to go to work to provide for their family and be not just verbally threatened and abused, but to be physically threatened and abused. Right. And at that point, I'm here in Atlanta and I'm like, I wish Montgomery was 10 minutes away, because I want to go down there and I want to be with this brother. I want to help him out because I feel his pain. I feel everything that he's going through, because he's just one person who was videotaped. There's so many people that go through stuff like this all the time in the Deep South, and it's not documented. We just happen to have this part documented. And so we have to look at things from that perspective and realize that what we are trying to do with Mr. Pickett is not just get justice for him, but we have to get justice for everyone who has gone through something similar, who has not had the luxury of having their injustices televised.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right, brother. And I appreciate those words. I really appreciate those words. People got to understand also, when I first came down in August, I mean, to know that Brother Damien, you went to back to work a couple days later? Yeah. He went back to work a couple days later after being injured. He went to the hospital. He has hospital records. I have those hospital records. I'm giving them to my civil lawyer tomorrow. We're going to file a civil suit. And keep in mind, if 3 or more people beat you up, that's a lynching, y'all. But you didn't know that.
What?
Yes.
How soon?
Yeah.
How soon? That's a lot of
Lonzo,
noise.
did
I
you know that?
apologize. How soon we forgot about Gina 6? See,
Right.
Gina
Hello.
6 was 5 boys. One got beat up by a white boy, right? By a white male. So he went back and got his friends, his 5 friends. And you talking somebody that booked 3 buses out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we drove to Gina about over 20 miles.
Oh, wow.
I booked a bus. Me and my girl Shirley, a friend of mine. But my point is that what happens is it was a school fight, right? So what happened is the white boy got the best of the black boy. He beat him up. So he went and got his 5 homeboys, and they beat the white boy up. He went to the hospital and was released and went to the football game that night.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that what they did was they told the young man, you know what, you get them for lynching. Because anybody that beat 3 or more people beat you up, that's a lynching. And in Louisiana, it carries 20 years. In North Carolina, it carries 5.
Wow.
Because you're outnumbered. So I don't know why ain't nobody shared that with Brother Mamie, because I'm talking to the chief of police tomorrow to upgrade the charges to lynching. That's the key word. If 3 or more people beat you up, it's a lynching. It's like a mob attack.
Something. Did you know that on Monday in Columbus, Mississippi, a young man was left for dead, and he's allegedly been jumped on by 4 white men? And so they are organizing right now, but I know that could be considered a lynch.
Yeah, now you know. And what happens is, and during slavery, what happened was when we was getting lynched, wasn't nobody doing nothing about it because the Klan would lynch us, but the laws wasn't put in place now. Now it's reversed.
What can we do to make this better? Because this show talks about building better blackness. What can we do to make our situation better? Because this is happening over and over.
2 things. I'm gonna tell you one that Bill Cosby said before he went to prison. He said, in order for us to pay more attention to our kids, he's telling the parents to cut the phone off. He said, cut your phone off, because you ain't paying no attention to little Junebug. Number 2, we need to quit learning so much about when exactly the BET Awards is going to drop, and if Lotto and some of the rappers that I love is going to be performing, and we need to start learning about the law. Because in school, they teach us about science, math, and history, but they don't teach us about the law. And the law is what's taking us to jail, not our history teacher. It's key that we learn the law.
Let me say this. Now, you are about to see somebody who has just dropped an album with no words. Andre 3000. So to me, in my mind, when I realized and I saw this on Catfish, he has an instrumental album, right? But the first thing came to my mind is that Andre is like, y'all won't be able to lie on me and say I told nobody to go shoot anybody. And so his music now is resonating with old fans, and they are really digging it, but it's not lyrical.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you think that in an effort to also make it better, I know that you said that we need to start figuring out what the BT show is going to be. Do you think we can, and Brother Malik Shabazz made mention of it, we need more conscious music. We need more music in our community that drives us towards greatness.
Absolutely. I love Drake, but Drake hasn't given me anything socially conscious to think about. I'm still playing Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I'm still playing Brand Nubian and Grand Poobah. You know what I'm saying? So what happened is through their lyrics, I was able to learn about how to eat, you know, what God to acknowledge, what to do in our community. I mean, Pete Rock and CL Smooth got a song called Straighten It Out. They're talking about straightening out not only the neighborhood, but straighten out the music industry so they can really get the money that they need. It's called Straighten It Out.
Lonzo, do you know anything that he's talking about right now? Because
absolutely,
I know Afrobeats is gonna take over after a while, but go on.
Yeah, absolutely. I consider myself to be a hip hop head. I consider myself to be someone who, because at the end of the day, I am only 5 years younger than the birth of hip hop.
Okay.
And because of that, hip hop as a whole helped me to become who I am. I listen to all of it. And you can see where there are instances, not just in music, but in all forms of life. There are good parts of life. There are bad parts of life. There are good parts of of hip hop. There's bad parts of hip hop. We have to, and I think one of the things is the older that you get, the more you realize that you can weed out the BS, and you can take what has substance and let what has substance feed you. You know what I mean? So that when you talk about your Pete Rock, you see us moves, and you talk about your Tribe Called Quest, and you talk about, you know, the just all of the good parts of
Good and Mob.
Yeah, well, yeah, Good and Mob and all those things. You know what I mean? You talk about that. You have to understand that for every yin, you're gonna have a yang, and it just so happens that with hip hop, we have a lot of yang when we need more yin. You know what I mean?
Well, with that being said, I know that you guys are on the road. You guys are trying to get something to eat. John, I want to say thank you so much. Can you leave us with some words that will make us better?
Yes, the sister had a question in the bottom. I didn't know. Can you read that question?
Yes,
Someone had a question.
She says her name is Nicole Wallace. When
Hey,
we
Nicole.
people go back to taking care of our own, then this situation will continue. She said, we are not our grandparents, and we will find a way to fix the era of the people.
Yep, she's exactly right. 1982, 85, 86 was a good year for us. Michael Jackson was booming on the radio station. You know, it was Thriller. We had family reunions, and black folks used to go to something called Sunday school, right? Nowadays, Sunday school and church in general has been replaced. See, in 1985, the masses of black folks were in church. That's a fact. 1 o'clock, they was in church. Now, guess where they are in 2023? They're waiting for the Dallas Cowboys to play, and the pastor got a jersey on. That's facts. So there's no second service. There's no second services. There's no 7-night revival. There's no family reunions. So if you look at what we did in 85, 83, and add it up to 2023, we totally walking backwards. We have totally disrespected our parents. Reverend Sharpton once said that grandma, who didn't have an education, y'all, was able to put money in a mason jar, enough money, I know I'm walking around, enough money in a mason jar to send her granddaughter to college, to Spelman, even though she couldn't read and write. And nowadays, the young generation, our generation right now, don't have no money for their offsprings.
John, now, I know you say, and Lonzo, I want you to weigh in on this. I know you said that the 85, 86, that was a good year, but I found that when I talk to some of the people from that era, there's a lot of resentment from them, especially those who grew up in the church. These are the ones who are no longer going to church. I'm talking about the children who belong to pastors and deacons. And so they have backed away so much from the church, and this is what we're getting. The ones who I have spoken with, they don't want really anything to do with church except for the likeness, the name, image, and likeness of it.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna dissect that real quick. I'm gonna dissect that real quick, because you got to understand that in 85, back to 85, there was more men in church. See, Hill Harper was on the Monique show, and he said that in 1976, 1980, 71% of black men were in church. They were active in their children's lives. But you got to understand, around that time, we had about less than 400,000 black men in prison. Today, we got 1.6 million. So what happens now, that 31% has dropped. So if you tell me to go to a park and see if I can see a whole black family there, you might not see it. If you wonder that why the black men are not in church, I'm going to tell you why. I dropped it on Facebook a couple weeks ago, and I got a lot of pastors on my page. You know why we don't have no men in church? Because they're taking their positions. What's the positions, John? See, non-denominational churches have the names written on it. T.D. Jakes Ministry, Paula White Ministries. And God ain't pleased with that. I'm going to tell you why. Because what happens is those people own those churches, y'all. And what happens is the reason the black man ain't in the church, because they done took the deacon board away, they done took the trustees away, and they done took the ushers away. Well, now Lonzo they got the white pastor, co-pastor, and a bunch of women in the church, and there's no men. And that's the problem with the black church.
Lonzo, what say you?
Well, another part of that is, you know, like he said, the black men were in the community, back in the 80s. But he also mentioned that the percentage of black men that are going to jail now in 2023 is astronomically higher than it was then.
That's
So
correct.
if you take the black man out of the community, you have in a way taking him out of the church. Once you remove the man from the community and remove him from the church, things start to fall to the wayside. And as they fall to the wayside, it causes people to say, you know what, I don't want no parts of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no parts of that. I would rather go do something else. You know what I mean? And in the process of doing that, you start to see a number of changes in the community. You know, back then, grandma was, you know, a heavyset old lady with gray hair.
Right.
Now, grandmas are 40 years old going to the club
with a BBL.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, we have to look at trying to figure out how to get the family unit back the way it used to be when we was, you know, coming up out the mud. You know what I'm saying? When we were, you know, 7, 8, 9 years old, that family unit was a much greater unit than the unit that we have today. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. That's right.
And especially with you, Angela, because you know, I knew your father.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Your daddy is a great man, a great person in the community. So that man, it was all about family. You don't have many men who are like your father was.
No.
You know what I mean?
Brother John C. Barnett, let me tell you, he knew my father. My father was like somewhat like what you do. He wore his dashikis, he read the Quran, he read the Bible, he was open, you know, and he loved people. And Lonzo, let me tell you about Lonzo. He was my little boyfriend for one day. Was it one day, Lonzo?
First of all, we weren't supposed to get into all that.
Well, he was my boyfriend for one day, and my daddy liked him so much.
Yeah.
And we didn't even like each other like that.
So yeah, but you know, but the thing about it was her father is such just a charismatic person. You can't help but be drawn to him. And because you're drawn to him, you look at him and you say, you know what, this is the example of what a black man is supposed to be. This is the example of what a leader is supposed to be. This is an example of what a community activist is supposed to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And the issue at hand is now we don't have enough of those men that exist in our community.
Yes.
So that we as black people can continue to thrive, can continue to elevate ourselves, can continue to be pillars of society as we are deemed to be. We just don't have that. That doesn't exist anymore.
I just want to say this: when you find a woman like myself, my father was a strong black man, right? And so anything less than that is effeminate. Anything less than that is foreign to me. I understand what Lonzo is talking about. I understand what Brother John C. Barnett, Brother Malik Shabbat, Brother Kareem. I understand that language. That is not foreign to me. And when you find somebody like that, and I thank God for my husband, he's not a man of many words, but when he speaks volumes, right? And so I understand that language and I can submit to that type of leadership. And I want to say that I just pray that a lot of us as black women will become willing to submit and not tear down our men, but build them up. And that's one way that we can continue to encourage them to be around, be active, not yo daddy, he low down, disrespectful, and this, that, and the third, he got this many children. Well, you chose him as the baby's father, right? That was your choice. But while we're here, since we're here, let's respect this man. Right?
Yeah.
And you guys may not ever be together again. Usher has a song out. We didn't make it to forever. But listen, don't you know that we can still co-parent? We can still go to the park together. We can still blend it in and show the world that the love does not have to be so foreign to us that the only way we get love as women if we are objectified and put on somebody's billboard as a stripper or somebody who's twerking. And don't get me, I don't know. I wish I knew, but it's more to it than that, right?
I got a partner going through a divorce a couple months ago. I said, man, why you get a divorce? What happened? He said, you want to know the reason? I said, why? He said, the reality shows. I
Wow.
ain't never heard nobody say that before. He
Wow.
said the reality shows. Just
Because
the whole atmosphere
mm-hmm,
of the boss lady and all that stuff. And I don't need a man of independency. He said the reality shows, hypothetically speaking, broke
mm-hmm.
them up. So
Wow.
I tell my sisters, cut off the reality shows and unfriend Kim Kardashian because you'll never be her.
Oh wow.
Unfriend
Never,
her on IG
ever.
because they're following Kim Kardashian. They're following Steve Harvey's wife to see what country she done flew to. They're following what's her name, Jada Pinkett,
Mm-hmm.
and they're following certain people. But guess what? Ain't nobody following Sister Shabazz, Elisha. I am Malcolm X's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody following Betty Shabazz's page. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
nobody following Coretta Scott King's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They following the wrong people, and those individuals don't have any God about them. You know what
How
stands out about Queen Latifah and Erykah Badu? Queen Latifah came out with the headdress on. She was African and she was militant. She was pro-black, and I was saying, wow, Queen Latifah couldn't draw me to a concert if she gave me a free ticket.
Wow.
But I'm drawn to Erykah Badu.
Mm-hmm.
You know why we're drawn to Erykah Badu and Queen Latifah's not on tour right now?
Wow.
And she ain't selling out?
Mm.
Because she has some godliness about her.
Mm.
Say what you want to say. They say she crazy. She done turned Andre 3000 out. Say what you want to say. She talking about
Andre,
God. She talks about the creator and she talks about the universe. And Queen Latifah ain't never done that. So that's the difference. I want to use those two reasons. Godliness draws us to them.
Nobody's following Shahrazad Ali either. She is major in telling women, hey, you need to pipe down and do an assessment on yourself. Make sure that you're doing what you need to do as a woman. And she's a part of the Nation of Islam.
That's correct.
She is awesome. I would love one day to just sit down and have an interview with her.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna throw another one out there. May he rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. And why I say Kevin Samuels? Reason I say Kevin Samuels. A lot of women don't like him.
No.
83% of his viewers were women. Why were they tuning in every night? And why was he worth $3 million before he died? Men didn't get him there. The women got him there, getting that counseling on the low, but not really want to tell you all publicly.
Lonzo, you're you're where Kevin Samuel was based out of.
Yes.
How do you feel about this? Do you share in the same sentiments? I'm just asking.
No. No. And the thing is, in terms of what he was able to do, I understand the aspect. I understand a lot of the things that he would.
He found a sweet spot.
He found what worked for him.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Mm-hmm.
He found what worked for him, and for that, I can say, you know what? Yes, I'm with that.
Yeah.
Did my ideologies always line up with his? Absolutely not.
You're not going to line
up with. You're not going to line up with everyone.
But he
that you
said
encounter.
some good stuff, though.
Yeah, he may have.
And I'm a woman,
the bits
and I agreed with some of the stuff that Kevin Samuel said.
Yeah,
and they got
wonderful.
mad when he said average at best. And I was just telling a friend of mine the other day. She said, "Oh, I think you're so beautiful and this and that." I said, "Thank you." But when I take all this off, I look just like my daddy. So I don't play myself up. I made a post today, Lonzo, and it says, a wet wipe, a baby wipe to the face will humble a lot of women. Mm-hmm. And so we have the audacity to say, you're not good looking, you're unattractive, you're ugly, right? But if we do an assessment on ourselves and be real, I don't look like this every day. Man, listen, I be out there on the trail. I be out there getting those interviews. I wish I could look like this when I'm out there chasing those stories, but I don't. And every day, no, I don't look like this every day. And see, we got to get out of that mode of thinking that looking average is a bad thing. It's not. If you know how to fix yourself up, way to go. But don't let that be the only thing that causes you to move forward, because it could be a day you got to get down in those trenches and somebody might snap your picture. But you know what I say, Lonzo? You know what I say, Brother John C. Barnett? That's me. It's me. That's me.
That's
You
right.
can snap. Okay, snap all you want. That's me.
That's
But we
right.
have some women have to have a Kodak moment soon as they leave the house. No, it's bigger than that. And see, Kevin Samuels to me was trying to let them know the men that you're looking for, they not looking for you, baby. Then he would ask them, would you want your son to be with a woman like you? And see, these are questions that we don't, as women now, I can speak as a woman, and we got a woman in the comment section, but I can honestly say, he made me think about things differently. Now, did I agree with everything? No. But it made me do an assessment on myself.
Yeah. What he did was thought provoking, and you just have to take out of it what it is. People
Yeah.
don't like everything. People don't like everything that's in the Bible or the Quran. People don't like everything that Joe Biden says. You know what I'm saying? But you still voted for him. You understand? Because we know we don't want Trump in there. So as Denzel Washington said in the movie Fences, you got to take the crookeds with the straights. You got to take the crookeds with the straights. And so what I've done in my life is that I didn't dog out the Muslims. I said, wow, they done showed me how to pray. Y'all praying 5 times a day? You mean every day in Iran, they just stop what they doing and pray? And then so I learned from the Jehovah's Witness as a church guy, right? Or a church boy, church man, whatever. And so they knocking on the doors. Ain't nobody from my church knocked on my door. That's facts. So what did I learn from the Muslims? Not to eat pork. I ain't ate pork in 20 years.
Wow.
Why did Tina Turner embrace Buddhism to get Ike from whooping her ass? Even if she believed in Iraq, as long as she stopped Ike from whooping her ass, she gonna be an Ike tomorrow. She embraced Buddhism. Serena Williams, I love Serena Williams and Michael Jackson. They both Jehovah's Witness, and so was Prince. Right? They knocking on the doors. So you got to take the good out of that. I don't worry about Michael at Never Land with them kids. Just play me a Thriller album, and I'm gonna be all right. So you have to take the good and see what happens. So just because you got a fruit bowl, I might like apples, and Brother Damien, he might like pineapples. It's still fruit, and we still gonna be full by the end of the day. So people have to learn. I think more of our people begin to think about that. He said some thought-provoking things. I don't like Oprah, but I gotta love her ability to make money. And she's a rich lady. I don't like Beyonce. No, I ain't spending no $1,500 to see her at the Charlotte arena where the Panthers play at, and 60,000 people up there. Everybody out there, transvestite, gays, blah. I'm not going to see Beyonce. You know why? Because she doesn't give me soul. See, I'm going to see Anita Baker in 2 days in Greensboro, North Carolina. And Anita Baker gives me soul. You know what I'm saying? And I'm breaking my neck to get there. Matter of fact, it's tomorrow night. So I'm going to see Anita Baker tomorrow night. I ain't going to see Beyonce.
Lonzo.
You feel me?
Yes. Lonzo.
Yes.
What gives you soul?
There's so many things that do it, but and it varies from day to day. Right now, watching my daughter become the young woman that she's becoming. My daughter is 13 years old, but watching her be able to live well beyond the only 13 years that she's been on earth, that gives me life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That gives me life. And tomorrow, it may not even be her. It may be, me listening to this Andre 3000 Woodwind album. It could be anything. For me, it varies from day to day. Right now, you know what I mean? It's that. But one other thing I want to say too, recently, and I mentioned it to you before we started the show. My wife lost her mom. And we had to bury my mother-in-law. One of the things that also gives me life is realizing how strong Black women are.
Wow.
And I realized I've always known that Black women were strong, but what really did it for me was when we were at the funeral and I am consoling, I'm holding my daughter, and my daughter is losing her stuff. And my wife is losing her stuff, but my wife can't hear anything. And so I got my hand on my wife's back and I got my arm around my daughter, and my wife, she heard her own daughter grieving. She was able to turn off her grief to go and console her daughter. And I saw my 2 sister-in-laws do the exact same thing. They are there to bury their mother, but they realize, I hear my baby crying. I need to turn off what I'm doing right now so that I can go see about my child.
Yes.
When you realize the strength that these Black women have to be able to turn off their grief so that they can go and console their children, ain't nothing stronger than that. But stuff like that gives me life. That gives me soul.
And you know what? That's amazing amazing that you were able to observe that and grasp that moment in an effort to put that in your memory bank to share with the world, because not too many people pay attention to us unless we are undressed, seemingly, or we have a high power position that forces you to listen to us, or we have something to bring to the table, something to offer. But for you to take that time as a husband and say, OMG, let me take it all in. That speaks volumes. And people would ask me, what do I love about my husband? I said, he studies me.
Right.
My husband studies me. And my father was the same way. Lonzo, Daddy would allow us to be angry. He would allow it. He said, but now we got to have a conversation about it, though. Because in our family unit, he allowed us to talk about things. He said, oh, sweetheart, I know you're upset, but why? And so when you begin to tell him, because his best friend, Bridges Randall, said that he was a social scientist. He studied people. And as a journalist, I do the same thing. I sympathize and empathize with. I want to know what caused that person to act the way they did. And, it's just awesome that, you talked about Dad, but Daddy was just a counselor. He wore so many hats in our home. And if we can get our men, who I was telling my husband tonight, our men who are on social media, who have influence, to jump on this bandwagon and just begin to pump nothing out but love. Hey, look at this queen. Look at how she's loving on her children. Look at this man, this brother. He got himself put together. He's looking good. Oh, he's using big words and he's sounding like a professor. And that's, we need to start, in school, we would pick on people. Let's pick on people for the good things. Let's pick on them on purpose, with purpose. And I think we'll get somewhere as it relates to building better Blackness. Lonzo.
The issue at hand with a lot of it, if we're being candid, if we're being honest about it, a lot of the times on social media, you don't see those things happen because they are not trendy. That's
true.
These things are not trendy, and people they want to talk about whatever is trendy, whatever is the hot topic for the moment. You know what I mean? Because, and let's back up, because mental health has been something that has been in existence since the beginning of time. Yes. However, Black people have not gotten into mental health until it became fashionable.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the reason why I am privy to it is because I am married to a person who does this for a living. And if you are in tune with your significant other, you're going to care about the things that they care about.
Absolutely.
You're going to be in tune with the things that they are into. And so she's been doing this for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Mental health awareness in terms of the Black community has probably been really popping for about 8-9 years.
Listen,
I'm 10, 11 years ahead of everybody because of my affiliation with my significant other. You know what I mean? And so once positivity and once community, helping the community, the Black community, once that becomes trendy, once that becomes something that is fashionable, then we will start to see improvements. But the real question is, how do we get those things to become trendy? How do we get those things to become fashionable? And how do we get that to become sexy? Because right now it's not sexy for some reason, it's not sexy to care about your community. It's not sexy to care about a man who's potentially being charged for defending himself.
That's right.
It is not sexy to do that. How do we make it sexy? How do we make it fashionable for us to give a damn about our own people?
Brother Barnett, and I'm going to ask you this because that was awesome. Everything you said, Lons. I'm sorry, Catfish. Brother Barnett, can't we change the narrative and cause it to become trending?
Yes, but I think it only works if all of us is on one accord.
I
Say
like
I
that.
didn't. Say I didn't know everybody. The child, mother, the father, the grandmother, and the grandfather. See, you got to realize in the 70s and 80s, I got to go back to that.
Yeah.
Everybody was on one accord, and I didn't
Yes.
know. I didn't know that when the March on Washington took place, that that some of the mothers, that some of the mothers, that some of the mothers, some of the women did not.
You're breaking up.
Oh, I think he's frozen.
He's probably traveling. He's in
Yeah.
Alabama. And I just want to say this until he comes back. We need to leave this garbage in 2023, along with the baby hairs, right? Along with the I, I ain't leaving my lashes though. These lashes gonna stay.
Lord
Okay.
have mercy.
But mental health awareness is something that was so important to me because my mom suffered from mental illness, and
Right.
she blamed my father for being her counselor. Well, I want to say credit him. She gave him credit for being her counselor, right? And so I was trying to raise with mental health awareness by doing a parade in our hometown, and only a few people showed up. I was doing a car show parade, Lonzo,
Right.
and they were slow to show up because see, when you market something like that, you can't be bold about it. But why not? And if I ever do it again, I'll still call it mental health awareness.
Well,
Um,
see, here's the thing. When you did it, mental health was probably not fashionable.
it wasn't.
It wasn't fashionable, but now that it is, you'll get a bigger turnout because it is fashionable. You know what I mean? That's one of the things, especially, I can't speak for major metropolitan areas, but
Hmm.
what I can speak for is where we grew up, where we come from, all small town America. If it is not popular, it won't get anywhere. We have to take the things that we care about,
Hmm.
be it mental health awareness, be it anything that's have to do with the uplifting of African American people,
Hmm.
be it church, be it fatherhood,
Hmm.
be it men learning how to love themselves so
Yes.
that they can love other people. We have to find ways to make those things fashionable so that we can get the traction that we need to turn things around so that we can better one another.
Yeah,
Brother,
and
brother.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I cut off earlier. I had to switch phones because Brother Damien had to get some rest. But I was saying earlier was that I didn't know that during the March on Washington that some of the mothers and the grandmothers packed lunches and packed bags and suitcases for the men to go,
Hmm.
and they stayed back even though they wanted to go see Dr. King. But I
Right.
think what my brother Alonzo was saying earlier about getting back and making it popular, I'm gonna drop something on y'all. Just one jewel. There was a time where the music was in sync with the church. The
Right.
church was in sync with the family, and the family was in sync with the school. Ain't none of us in sync. We're out of sync. So you got to
Right.
realize the school teachers was in sync with the parents because if you acted up at the school, the teacher would call and you'd end up getting two whoopings. But the
Mm.
music that we was listening to, Marvin Gaye, we embraced Marvin Gaye and
Yeah.
Sam Cooke. Why? Because they
Yeah.
came from the church. So it just hit me while y'all was talking. Literally, this just came to me. We were all on one accord. It was in harmony. Everything was in sync. But we allowed the forces that be. I'm gonna call it white America or America. They came in and they broke up that school system and didn't give us no
Right.
more power to whoop the kids. I used to get my ass whooped. Can I cuss on on your TV show? On your
You
show?
know you cannot, but go
Well,
on,
okay,
brother.
I'm sorry, my bad. I'm sorry, my bad, my bad. Anyway, I used to get my butt beat in school and with a paddle in front of the
Hmm.
class
Hmm.
by a
Okay.
lady named Miss Lynch in the third grade. Now, why did not forget that? I've never forgot that. You know why? Because it takes 9 seconds to remember something good in your life and 3 seconds to remember something bad. But back to that harmony. Everybody was in sync. Sam Cooke was singing it. He was singing in the church. Aretha Franklin could sing in the church, and then she could go back and sing on stage.
Al Green.
Right? Al Green. Everything was in sync. And right now it's not in sync. The schools are not in sync. The church is definitely ain't in sync with the community. The pastor used to live in our neighborhood. Now they got gates around their house.
My
Let's
God.
keep it one up. The Joel Osteen house is $10 million. I just happen to Google some of these pastors. I ain't hating on them. You know, God bless them. But do Jesus need a $10 million house?
No.
A $10 million house, y'all. His rooms in his house, the man probably don't even go to. Anybody but him and his wife? This is my Bible. Joel Osteen. Y'all know. What am I saying? Come on, y'all.
Right.
It don't take off. That's a lot.
And that's, you hit a very, very pivotal point, because again, everything back in that era was, again, it was tied together. Everything was tied together. And it's ironic because for me, I've had many jobs in my little 45 years on earth. And being a school teacher has taught me that, okay, the era that we came up in, I could call parents. I could pull up at the parent's house as the teacher and say, your child did X, Y, and Z at school. Right. But now the parents are going to team up with the students against the teacher.
That's right.
I've seen it happen because it happened to me. As the educator, it happened to me. And because of that, you look at that, you look at what's going on in the church. And I'm not, and let me just make sure I say this. I'm not saying this for all churches, but for some of the churches that's out there, there's as much corruption in the churches as there are in the White House, as there at the Pentagon, as there is in Congress. There's too much corruption in all these different places. And it all boils down to, as you said previously, that we are not in sync with one another.
That's
and
correct.
Until we can get to the point that we can all work in unison and stop being worried about how I can get my stuff together, and I don't care about everybody else. You know what I mean? That is the problem.
You're right. And guess who is in sync? I'll tell you a few. You want to know a few, Angela? I'm glad you asked. The Jews.
They are.
The Italians.
They are.
Yes.
The Nation of Islam.
Yes.
There's some people that's in sync.
They are.
We done lost it.
My goodness.
We done lost it.
And we said we Christians, brother.
That's right. That's right.
I want to play a video for you guys, just to jog your memory about some things. We're talking about Dexter Wade now. We're going to shift gears. We're going to bring on attorney Ben Crump. Now, I was criticized, people, on my own platform. Thank you so much, Nicole Wallace. I think that's one of your people, Zoe. I was criticized on my own platform, on my backup channel on YouTube, because of an interview that I did just recently. Now, I want to get better because the name of the show is Building Better Blackness. And as an independent journalist or a grassroots journalist / activist, I make it my business to try and reach the people who I talk with on a day-to-day here in Mississippi or wherever I may go. Let's take a look. This is about 2 minutes. Y'all take a listen. The Mike magazine. I can only imagine what you're feeling right now. When will his proper burial be?
On November 20th.
And you are?
I'm his oldest sister.
His oldest sister.
Yes.
You've been with her through it all.
Been with her through it all, from my uncle.
But most sisters don't want to know where their bad baby brother's been.
I don't care. My brother may have been what he was.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a sister.
I know. I'm just saying he may be what he was. He was his own person, but we loved him regardless. So anybody can say whatever they want about this family, but I'd rather have my brother and my uncle and the right beside me instead of got to look at them in a grave. And I don't understand it.
Why do you think the mayor said that it was just a mix-up in communication?
I don't care if it is a mix-up in communication. It shouldn't have been no mix-up in communication because everybody have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have a job to do what I do. If I don't do my job or I do something wrong at my job, I'm going to be held accountable for my wrongdoing, no matter what I do.
Mom, do you get peace at least knowing now that you can lay him to rest?
No.
No peace.
It's still no peace. Because I don't know what happened to her. It's still no peace. But
yes,
he's going to be peaceful in a proper grave.
Yes, ma'am.
It was possible that somebody made it for me to put him in a proper grave.
All right. So you have Attorney Ben Crump representing you guys.
Yes.
Do you think you made a mistake by getting him?
No.
Thank you so much, Mom.
No.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Now, I want to say this because I don't know where the fellas went. They got the cameras off.
There we go. There we go.
That Lonzo.
Here we go.
I want to say this. Let me get Brother John C. Barnett back in.
I'm here.
Now, we just had an opportunity to listen to the interview section where I was criticized on YouTube. And so I just want to say this. In the state of Mississippi, you know where you stand. If somebody's offended, you're going to know it right away. They will put you in your place right then. They don't make no qualms about it. Now, some people say, oh, she called her brother bad and this and that. No, from a sister to a sister, that's how I was speaking to her. And she said, yeah, I know. She made that clear that she knew exactly where I was coming from. And by the end of the interview, I hugged Mom and Sis. And I go on to interview Ben Crump. Lonzo, what was wrong with that interview?
You know, here's the thing. If we're looking at it from the way that Mississippians are going to view it, right? They are probably going to look at it from a standpoint of a lack of tact as a journalist, right? But I know what you meant. I know how it was intended to come across. And so I'm looking at it and I am personally not offended by it. However, you know, when you're talking about, you know, such a sensitive topic, some people would say, okay, well, maybe that comment should not have been made at that time. You know what I mean? But not just being from Mississippi, but if you Black, you know what that meant. Come on now.
Yeah.
You know that there was no ill intent.
That's right. Because if it was, they would have. When I tell you people will stop grieving and whoop your tail, they will.
Hello.
They will.
Because I was getting ready to say something else, but you said we can't cuss on him.
Yeah. Your natural bone, they will.
Right.
If they're offended, you're gonna hear, get this camera out of my face. Who is this? Why are they talking to me like? But that from one sister to another sister, because I got two baby brothers, and I feel the same way she felt. I don't care how bad you think my baby brothers may be, because they can natural bone cut up. Those are my baby brothers, and I'm like her. Give me my baby brothers. Give them to me. Give me my uncle. She was crying about her uncle and her brother. She said, I'd rather have them here with me. I don't care what people say about this family. Right? And again, if she was offended, and I understand what you're saying, some people will say, oh, that was not as tactful as it could have been. And in hindsight, looking back, you know, it's like, well, it didn't come out the way that it didn't come across as effective as I wanted it to. But I'm just grateful that she was not offended.
Right. And ultimately, what you have to look at, is this. Um, you can't necessarily concern yourself about the perception of other people if the job that you're doing is genuine and the people that you're working with
sincere.
are are understanding of how things are coming across.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, as with both of us having degrees in communications, mass
Mm-hmm.
communications, we
Mm-hmm.
understand that there are certain protocol that we should follow when interviewing people,
Mm-hmm.
when dealing with the masses,
Right.
especially when you're dealing with the masses and it's going to go out to a lot of people.
Right.
Um, there's an understanding, but what's also important to note is, I'm gonna go ahead on and say it.
Say
A
it.
lot of people that have probably been providing the negative feedback can't do what you do in the first place.
It's hard. It's not easy to do this.
Right. If they can't do what you do, they can't they won't be able to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, you just have to understand that, uh if you ain't got enough haters, that means you ain't doing enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is just an opportunity for you to realize that you're doing something right because you just gained some more haters. You hear me?
And Zoe, I'm so grateful that mom and daughter were not offended, because if they
Right.
were, they would have made me know it
Right.
at
Right.
the moment that I was talking with them. But that video has gone viral. And the
Right.
videos that I want to go viral, don't get me wrong, this situation is worthy of it, right?
Right.
But I've done other videos prior to this that I deemed worthy as well. 2 or 3 views on YouTube. Now,
Yeah.
my
Well,
Facebook, I'll get thousands of views,
right.
here and there from time to time. But I work in conjunction with this brother, Talks with 2K, who is so awesome, and he shares my stuff when I go
Right.
live if I ask.
Right. Right.
And so, the YouTube channel is hard to work. Anybody who has a platform know that YouTube is hard. But
Mm.
because of the negativity that was it, and I turned the comment section off. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna lip box with these people on my platform, because I knew what I meant, and and I'm
Right.
just
Right.
grateful that I went on to interview Crump and those others, and I'm going to play that interview right now, the beginning of the Crump interview. Mississippi Delta. I met you in Memphis with Tyree Nichols at the church.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Wanted to get a quick interview from you if it's possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Attorney Sweet, and I'll try to answer your question.
Yes.
Attorney Dennis Sweet, one of my
Yes.
mentors.
Yeah. He the man with the plan.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
Okay, so I know we're here because you spoke with CBS, and I heard you tell Gail King that you are looking to have an independent autopsy done and a proper burial.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the purpose for today?
The purpose for today was to exhume the body to help get transparency and truth. After they killed Dexter Wade, what did they do? Did they just put him in a bag and drop him in the ground? Understand, Attorney Sweet and his son Dennis Sweet the third, they told me in Jackson, you are going to be blown away how they treat our people. And nobody could have had me believe in 2023 that they put people in bags and drop them in the ground without notifying their family and their loved ones.
It took this lady. This lady lost 2
Loved
people before being actually believed. When they first beat her brother to death, my son and I were doing the case. I called Ben. I said, Ben, you need to come on down here. Ben said, Den, I got so many all over the country. He said, I'm trying. He said, yeah, I got you. I believe you. I said, Ben, I think Jackson, even though it's black on black, even though it's this, it's blue on black. It's whatever. I said, finally, he called. I think he believed me. He said, man, y'all need some help down there. And he bless the Lord, thank the Lord, he came in and give us a hand.
I found out about you guys when they were doing Justice for Kia.
Yeah.
And you guys blew me away when I saw that she was able to go home and be with her family.
I have to give him 100% credit.
He is the man.
I told him, you know what?
Chip off the old block.
Yes, he is.
Fall far from the tree.
You know about this case?
I don't.
This young lady was innocent.
Port Gibson, I think it was.
She got life without parole.
Oh my God.
And he called me. He said, "Daddy, I think she's innocent." I said, "Did she hire some more lawyers?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, let her ride them horse." I said, "Cause I'm tired of getting them out." I mean, I did a bunch. He said, "Dad, she innocent." So he took the case, and she got a new trial. And we had to try, and she was acquitted.
That trial was
murder.
Murdering her own stepdaughter, and Port Gibson, and some of the people on the jury were related to the victim and all types of things. She was a nurse, a licensed nurse, and I spoke with her mom, and I felt the same way you felt, that she didn't do it, and she got off, and that's how I found out about this law firm. Now,
my God.
That was my second time meeting Attorney Ben Crump. First time meeting Dennis Sweet and his son. And Lonzo, you are correct. It is not easy to do this. You know, some people wouldn't even know what to ask them because they might be starstruck or, you know, in awe of, you know, the people. But I have to continue to do what it is that I have come there to do, right? And again, I met him in Memphis at the church when they were doing the Tyree Nichols thing. And in Memphis, I can tell you the difference. They had him up high on a podium with the other people. They were so far away from the media and the others. And you had limited time to ask questions, and I think I asked the second question. And so when the press conference was over, they were like rushing him off and pushing you off, and didn't want people to get close to Ben Crump, and you know, like he was a god or something. But in Mississippi, much laid back, relaxed, welcoming. And you got a chance to see them smile a little bit, even though it was a somber situation. They talked about and I want to say this. Dennis Sweet, Attorney Dennis Sweet, referred to Wade's mother as this lady. Now I know what he means. He's like, man, look, this lady been trying to get justice, but somebody might run away and say why he referred to her as this lady. But I know what he meant. Right. And I believe everybody who saw the interview knew exactly what he meant. I'm going to put this press release up right quick. Let me remove this. This is fresh off the press, and it came out today from Ben Crump, trial lawyer for justice. Let me put my glasses on, y'all. And if you can see the screen, it says that the nationally renowned civil rights and personal injury attorney Ben Crump released a statement regarding the initial findings of Dexter Wade's independent autopsy. And again, the video in the beginning, he said the purpose for them being there was to make certain that they got that independent autopsy. They exhumed the body, do the autopsy, and a proper burial. All right. And so a pathologist, Dr. Frank Peretti, reported that, check this out, Dexter's body was not embalmed. Let's stop right there. Brother Barnett, his body was not embalmed. What's you?
Mississippi strikes again. The whole core of Mississippi and the foundation that it stands on needs to be destroyed. And so they shouldn't even take another day and even discussion, having any meetings immediately all parties involved need to go straight to federal prison. I'm still mad, not to get on another topic, that the 6 officers that we were able to get arrested and locked up, that they were able to beg behind closed doors that they don't want to get sentenced 2 days ago, 3 days ago. The 14th was the date.
Right. We were supposed to be there.
They moved it to January. You know why they did that, Angela?
Why?
Because they want to be on that, look through that glass window and talk to their wives for Thanksgiving. They also want to do it on Christmas. And they also want to do it for New Year's. But guess what date they're getting sentenced on?
What?
Dr. King's birthday.
That's right. That's right. Look, let me say
God
that.
don't like ugly. But anyway, but back to the embalming. That's horrific. I mean, they need to start locking up people right now. I think Christian Clark needs to get an office in Jackson, Mississippi, Department of Justice. She just needs to stay there for about 2 years, set up shop. She need to have a pull-up Department of Justice shop in Mississippi and just stay there for like 2 or 3 years, seriously, just to clean out all the old stuff. And 2 or 3 years, not long enough. Look at all the people that died before we came down there, before 6 Cups of Fire. Look at Charles Muhammad, son hung himself in his own jail 31 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So you all need a very effective Department of Justice headquarters in Mississippi, and they need to be not drinking Starbucks. They need to be about their business.
That's right.
Seriously,
he was not embalmed.
Right. You know,
that's disrespect to human life.
Ooh.
You know, and if you took the words right out of my mouth, if nothing else, it is just a blatant disrespect for the deceased.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, and maybe there is no law against disrespect. Maybe there should be a law against the disrespect for the deceased. That should be.
Yeah.
There's no way that a person, because I think the next point that's in that press release was the fact that the body had, there you go, his body was in an advanced state of decomposition. That would not have happened had he been properly embalmed in the first place.
That's
right. Look,
you know what I mean?
The atmosphere around Jesus's death, crucifixion, right? Even they buried him in a tomb, and he probably
decent
Egyptian linen, and he had frankincense and myrrh on his body.
Decent.
And the atmosphere around him was he was the most hated. That was the atmosphere. And even of being amongst the most hated, he was still given
a proper
burial, so to speak.
And again, with him, and this is an independent autopsy, man. This is not Ben Crump saying this. This is not John C. Barnett or Catfish or Angela Buckner saying this. This is an expert,
right,
who has had an opportunity to look his body over.
How did the story break? Why did they? Because nobody would have found his body. How did they find the body?
Well,
they just said it.
There was a coroner. He was taken to a coroner, and they put this in the report saying that he was identified. Okay, in the report they say he was accidentally run over by a police cruiser,
right?
And I'm paraphrasing, and that he was identified by a medicine bottle that was in his pocket. But we're gonna find out a little bit later that he had identification on him.
He had identification in his front pocket.
In his front pocket. And see, this is what they didn't tell us. Now, keep in mind, guys, the day on Monday, the day that he was to be exhumed, it was supposed to be at 11:30 when everybody was there to see it. No. According to Ben Crump, he was exhumed early on. We don't know who was there when he was exhumed.
It was allegedly at 8 a.m. before everyone else showed up.
Allegedly 8.
So everybody was supposed to watch it at 11:30.
Right. Everybody was supposed to watch it at 11, but allegedly he was exhumed at 8 a.m. before the press and before.
And who did that? And who did that? See, they need to be locked up.
We don't know just yet. And
who was driving the vehicle? The police car that hit him.
An off-duty officer, Brother Barnett.
Is he locked up?
They won't even name who he is.
Hmm.
They won't even name this officer. And I wonder now, this is me thinking, if he is like an higher up, maybe he was drunk. Maybe, why would, I mean, they get, apparently, let me say this because Lonzo worked in law enforcement. I don't know. Everybody won't get a take home car.
Right.
So maybe this guy was a higher up, somebody.
That could be the case. It couldn't be the case. You know, it just depends on the shift that you get. So,
But is it worth all of this?
absolutely not.
And then the mayor, who's an attorney, Chokwe Antar Lumumba, says it was a mix-up in communication. Let's get back to the press. Press.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
sister ran. His sister or cousin ran for office.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He's the
You don't have to
lawyer
put
for
your
the city.
glasses on. I'll read it for you so you don't have to read.
Oh, thank you, Lonzo.
All right. The second point was his body was in an advanced state of decomposition, which we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The third point, he presented multiple blunt force injuries to the skull, ribs, and the pelvis.
Stop right there.
All right.
That speaks volumes, y'all. What could he have been doing to be run over? What, the person who's driving, what are you doing? Looking down, texting? We're all guilty of texting and driving. But
You know what registers to me the most,
what's
right?
that?
When we're talking about multiple blunt force injuries.
Multiple.
When we say multiple to the ribs, if the car ran over the body, that's fine because it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But multiple to the skull, that means it was hit more than once to the head.
I run over and back
Right?
up.
Hello?
I get out, I hit.
You know what I'm saying? The only way that we can have multiple, and let's just hypothetically say that this person, this officer that was driving, was in fact drunk.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that you can have multiple blunt force injuries to the skull is if you run over that person with the front driver's side wheel and then you're straight enough to hit it with the back driver's side wheel.
Mm-hmm.
But you're drunk, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That leads me to think and to estimate that this person was struck not just by the car, but outside of the vehicle as well. That's what that leads me to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, but that's that. I'll let you go with that.
Come on, Brother Barnett.
Yeah, it seems like they just ran over him, bagged up just to make sure they didn't run over a tree and then run over him again multiple times. And they kill me. They've released his name. We know there was a black man that was found in the grave. It's imperative that we be transparent. They need to release that officer's name. And the city needs to demand that. If it's demonstrations, you need to demand that. You are
Release
paying him. You are paying him to be in office. That's public dollars. You can call the courthouse and get somebody's court date. Just get them name and their date of birth. Why? Because it's public. The public dollars pay for that courthouse and that paperwork that your court date is on. And so it is. Why are they protecting these officers?
Wait a minute. So now it makes me wonder if the person was white. I don't know.
I think they're white.
Yeah, I mean that may be the case, but ultimately, and I know that this shouldn't be the case, but because we're talking about Mississippi, it has to be a case.
Racism matter. Look at, if he was black, they would have been gave his name up. Say, yep,
right.
Junebug did it. They give his name out, have it in the newspaper, front page, and then they be trying to press charges, y'all.
Right.
On the officer.
I want to say something about the Goon Squad because I lost my train of thought. The longer we wait for the sentencing, I believe the more angry the wives are going to get, the family of the Goon Squad, and say, Lion Brian Bailey, you need to be in jail too. I think they are getting fed up and that they will be willing to sign these said petitions to get Lion Brian Bailey out of there. I truly believe, going back, and we're going to shift gears again, that these wives and these children and these mothers and fathers are going to be so upset with Lion Brian Bailey that they're going to ask for statements from their children, their loved ones, and say, you need to give him up. You need to turn him up, because he's begging for immunity now.
You know what? To have 6 officers facing federal prison time, and you being the overseer and being over them as a sheriff, and you ain't never showed up. I done been to more court appearances with those cops than he has.
That's heartbreaking.
Bailey
That
threw them boys under the bus.
Let me tell you.
Bailey has threw them under the bus, and he's never been to court. The only time we've even seen him is Brother Malik said they had a meeting about a month ago, and he was in the meeting. Just as quiet as a mouse.
Oh, wow.
It's the only time we've seen him.
Why wouldn't you show up to show moral support
for your own officers?
For your own officers who you said you didn't know that they were like that. But listen, don't you know the human being in me would want to just be there to console the family?
When Rodney King was beat over 56 times by the LAPD in 1992, half the LAPD was there.
Come on.
Right.
Half. They took off.
Don't you know half of the people have left Lion Brian Bailey, as Brother Kareem calls him. Don't you know they have left his working for him?
Wow.
It gets worse than that. They're saying now that the girlfriend who he subpoenaed her phone records for her text messages and broke up the marriage, allegedly, works for him, and that she was in desperate need of organs. And guess what? She got organs from an inmate in a facility in Alabama, where you are right now.
Wow.
Is what Jerry Mitchell documented in his article.
I've seen that. I didn't get all the full story in, but I had heard about that.
I believe Jerry Mitchell and somebody else worked on that story. But it's like, how is it that this thing just keeps unfolding? It's like peeling back so many layers of like an onion. But we finding out that these guys have a sentencing date, and their own boss won't even show up to show moral support.
That's correct. He's never showed up.
Say that he thought, now these are good guys. And not only that, Lion Brian Bailey, as Brother Kareem calls him, got a approximately $21,000 raise 2 weeks after Michael Corey Jenkins was pew pew in the mouth, along with Eddie Parker being sodomized or whatever they were doing to these young men when they had them in that 90-minute torture session. He got 21,000, and the highest paid sheriff in the whole state of Mississippi.
That's right.
The highest paid.
Sure is.
We're talking about Mississippi, and we're talking about white. You know, people say white is right in Mississippi. Listen, white is not right. I stand for right, whatever color you are. But since we're talking about building better blackness, I wonder, going right back to what Crump and those are going through with Dexter Wade's body, I wonder if the officer is white, because the name has not been released. Might not be. But that
would be a good reason to rally, to keep bringing exposure to it. The whole world needs to know about this case if they don't know.
That's right. Let's put this back up here. All right, Lonzo.
All right. It says his left leg was amputated, and his body.
No. Stop right there. Brother Barnett. Why would his leg be amputated?
I have no clue. No clue.
What are you doing to this body? Now I wonder if he had his organs.
Yeah. I have no clue.
So.
And did they find the leg?
You know,
wow.
Again, my thought process
course.
tells me, that yes, maybe this young man was struck by a vehicle, but that wasn't the only thing that he may have been struck by. You know what I mean? Um, to be able to have your leg amputated from a moving vehicle, that vehicle had to have been moving extremely fast and had to hit at the right angle for it to detach that leg from the rest of the body.
But Zoe, you off duty, so there's no reason to be in a so-called rush, right?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, excuse me, I expect that there's definitely foul play here, but I think that there's more foul play than being reported.
But why withhold? Why would the city of Jackson? First of all, it took her 6 months to figure out where her baby was.
See, you're asking the wrong question.
What's the right?
You're asking the wrong question. Why withhold is the question that you're asking. Why withhold the information? The question we need to be figuring out is where does this corruption start? Because there's the corruption that's in this police department.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find the head of the corruption that's hiding all of this information. Once you cut the head of the snake off, everything else is going to fall into place.
Just know this. They now have an interim chief, if I'm not mistaken. They don't have a said chief of police right now.
Right. Okay. Even if they have an interim, that interim is probably going to be the person who was next in line to be chief anyway.
Generally. Usually.
So what usually happens is, your chief is going to have all of the information that's going on. Your interim or your assistant chief, they're going to have just as much information as the chief is going to have. You know what I mean? And so ultimately, what we do when we start investigating is we like to investigate from the bottom going up to the top of the chain.
Yeah.
We can't do that this way because by the time we get to the top of the chain,
they
are already privy to the information.
Wow.
We got to start at the top, cut the I almost said something. Cut the head off.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you cut the head off, the rest of the body is going to die.
Yeah, that's correct. You know who does know what officer did that?
Who?
Probably your mayor. Your mayor or your attorney.
The attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't say it. Attorney Crumpton got the name.
Yeah.
But that's just law. That's the concepts of law.
Yeah.
They have to release everything to the lawyer. Documentation, dispatch book, person's name, medical records, history, all of that. The lawyer gets that.
Why would they?
So what my people that's listening, don't spend all that money when you have a mystery death going on. Don't spend all that money on the funeral. I went to James Brown's funeral. Was blessed to sit behind Michael Jackson. And I looked at that $240,000 coffin of James Brown's lifeless body sitting inside. And I said, wow, they finna put this 24 karat gold in the ground.
Right.
My point is this. Black people have been known to have these
extravagant
funerals, but didn't do an autopsy. I got a mother in North Carolina, in Polk, North Carolina. Son found dead on the railroad tracks, head cut off. Chief of police said, or the sheriff said, he ran in front of the train, and that's how he got chopped up.
Decapitate.
The conductor of the train allowed the mother to see the video. He wasn't running; he was laying there. But she didn't do an autopsy because they were so emotionally distraught. The funeral home director said it might just be best to just do an autopsy. So a year later, after she calms down, obviously traumatized, probably took her a year to calm down.
Yeah.
She contacts me. I take her to my lawyer's office. He said, "Where's the autopsy?" They said, "She didn't do one. She's too traumatized." He said, "Tell her she don't have a case."
Wow.
And he told her, shook her hand and said goodbye.
What?
That's the law.
She destroyed and killed the evidence when you could have seen what part of the train hit his body by doing an autopsy. what side of the body and the marks and how it drug him and was he placed there and was his hands tabbed when he was chopped in half and all of that. Malcolm X's father was put on a railroad track
Yep,
because
sure was.
because he was a black preacher, and one part of his body was on one side of the tracks, and the other part was on the other side to kill the rise of black consciousness is why they did that. And he was a follower of Marcus Garvey.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So my point is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But even that mother, I'm sure, did an autopsy. And so our people need to start investing in lawyers and autopsies, especially when it comes to mystery deaths like this.
You know, you're saying this, but Attorney Malik Shabazz said at the event that was held in Jackson with the 100 black men, I think we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're beating us in the autopsy. They are cheating us in the autopsy within the coroner's office. You're being cheated on the report.
Right.
You need to pay attention. Don't be so upset and traumatized. We talk about mental health. That's my cousin. We usually just get them put in the ground and then we go home.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out.
That?
You know what? The funeral home is calling you several times a day. Have you come up with the money yet? Have you come up with the money yet?
Mm-hmm.
Have you come up with the money yet? We can't keep holding this body. I didn't think people treat you like that during a time of bereavement.
You know what it increased over? You know what it's increased over the last 20 years?
What?
Cremations, because grandma had a life insurance. The young people in 2023 ain't even got car insurance, let alone life insurance.
Speaking of cremation, somebody said, why didn't they just cremate his body? If they wanted to hide the evidence.
Because you can't go in a crematory without having documentation.
You got to have a death certificate to be able to go into a crematory. You have
after you burn the body, you got to put a tag inside the urn, and that tag is symbolic to like a social security number. It's like a reference number. You have to put that inside the urn, so you can't burn nobody in there because it's all documented. It's like walking in the White House and they not know you're there.
Oh,
that's why they couldn't use that type of fire. Then they have to heat it up. It has to be approved. All of it has to be approved to have cremation. Everything is documented. But when you bury somebody in the ground, you don't need no documentation. You don't need no verification.
All you need is a shovel. That's all you need.
That's right.
And a hole, because the way Crump described it is they took him. I don't know if you heard it earlier, put him in a bag and dropped him in the ground. I think what we were wanting to see at 11:30 on Monday was the state that they had him in prior to dropping him down into that unmarked grave.
What I didn't know is, how did they even find out where the body was? Did they get convicted and jailed? Or people were looking?
The state, see, the coroner kept, I don't know, but the coroner kept a record and said that he had passed away. And because nobody had claimed the body after so long, that is the designated spot that they take people.
Right.
And leave them
and
there.
So what they also do is each body that's out there, there's a little small pole with a number on it.
Right.
That number is indicative of the date that person was placed in the ground.
So he did go through that. He did go through that process at least.
Yes.
That process, because that's how it was easy to find the body, because they knew what day allegedly that they put that body out there in that field.
Did anybody tell the coroner how he died?
To the best of my knowledge, no. To the best of my knowledge.
So the police bring this body there, and he don't ask no question. Coroner.
Welcome to Mississippi. Hello.
Right. The place of unanswered questions.
Right.
Let's pull this up again. You ready?
His body was completely run over by the police vehicle.
They identified the type of
vehicle
it was.
So
they're not shying away. They're not shying away from that.
Mm-mm-mm.
So we do know that it was a police vehicle. We don't know if this person that was driving the vehicle, if they were intoxicated or not. We also don't know if this person, according to the press release, we don't know if this person was even on duty or not. We just know that this person was driving a government issued vehicle
They
that
said
was
they were off.
assigned to the police department.
Now I thought they said they were off duty.
Well,
You
the press release doesn't say it.
okay?
Yeah,
Hold
the
on
press release doesn't say it.
just a second here.
And then we have one last point
Okay,
from the jacket, from the press jacket.
let me pull it up. Give me just a second for those who are watching.
Okay, and the last
This
point
here.
was there was a wallet in the front of his jeans containing his state identification card with his home address, his credit card, and a health insurance card.
Come on.
Right? A full report is expected soon. Right? So, if there's another statement here. Attorney Crump released the following statement, and I quote: "The tragic news we received from the independent pathologist today was heartbreaking for everyone who knew and cared for Dexter Wade, especially his mother. The fact that Dexter had an identification card
Mm,
and several other identified items shows us that there was a concerted effort to
mm,
keep the truth and manner of his death from his family.
mhm,
There's no excuse, not even incompetence, for not notifying a next of kin of
mhm,
an identified man's death.
mm,
Dexter, a young black man, was buried with no more dignity and respect than an animal,
mhm,
which no human being deserves. This case has shown us time and time again that local officials
mhm,
cannot be trusted in this manner, and there are clear conflicts of interest.
mhm,
Now, louder than ever, we renew our calls to the Department of Justice to investigate all of the local entities involved in
mm,
Dexter's death and what his mother suspects is a cover up.
mhm.
Dexter's grave was marked number 672. We can only pray that there aren't hundreds of other families out there unknowingly suffering this same fate.
You read that like a pro.
Because
Yep.
I am. You know what I'm talking about?
Boy, I thought you were being Crump himself. Man, I was like,
Okay.
what being Crump at?
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah, you did great. Thanks, though.
No problem, baby.
And so that's the statement released, and he continues to say that this is a concerted effort. He also says that, why is it that the mother feels that this is a cover up?
Mm-mm-mm.
You know, there are too many things that are already made aware to the public that make it seem like it can't be anything other than a cover up. There are
Seemingly.
too many things here
Mm-hmm,
that are indicative
mm-hmm,
of there's something going on that they don't want us to know about.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And guess what? And when we start feeling like that, we go to snooping and we go to putting our glasses on and we go to looking for stuff and we find stuff that we not even looking for, y'all.
Right. You
And
know,
that's
but
the scary part.
one of the things that I implore all of the people that care about the case and want justice, I want you to go out there and look. I want you to go out there and search for the truth. But what I don't want you to do is create a narrative,
Yes.
because in the process of creating a narrative, you could hinder the justice that this family deserves.
For instance,
You know, I mean, a lot of the times, especially, and I hate to say it, but it is what it
emotional.
is.
We
You
emotional.
know, a lot of the times, black people, we become so emotional and we start creating stories
Mm-hmm.
based off of the small information that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Right
Mm-hmm.
now, what we need to do is we need to again get the Department of Justice, because at this juncture, I don't trust anyone in the state of Mississippi to do any investigating on this particular matter. I don't trust them to do
Wait a
that.
minute. You got to trust MBI, but let me tell you.
I don't.
You have to exhaust your local remedies. Y'all know this, right? But MBI is currently working or investigating a case with an 11-year-old baby who was shot in the chest by a police officer. Check this out. The mother, when she got back from the hospital, she discovered a pillow that was left with blood on it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until after I went over with the Mike magazine to interview her, and I put this pillow on the show. She tells me on the 4th, I think it was, that, I no longer have the pillow in my possession. So now it's an exhibit in the investigation. And she brought it up to them. You can listen to the interview that I did with the young lady. Mm-hmm. I said, are you sure you told MBI? Yeah, they said they didn't need it. After we go the extra mile to do the homework and to get them, because mainstream media not coming no more until something else big pops off. But when I went back and I started showing the people, I said, hold the pillow up. They came and got the pillow. It's however they got it. They retrieved the pillow. You can't trust. Ben Crump asked me if I would trust government. Let's take a listen after this commercial break.
Mike Magazine coming to you with another Mike Moment. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Inmate whistleblower Bernard Jemison 0017980 is said to be in imminent danger in Alabama Department of Corrections Holman's facility. Inmates have rights too, and you are being encouraged to call the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division at 202-514-3847. According to the findings, the U.S. Department of Justice's ongoing lawsuit against the state alleged Alabama fails to protect prisoners from violence, death, unsafe, and unsanitary conditions. Jemison is no longer on a hunger strike. The Mike Magazine will follow this story closely.
The We Ship It All store. Visit the UPS store today. Be unstoppable.
Visit your local UPS store at 1831 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Suite 125 in Green.
And there's some prosecution, but not of highly elected officials.
How long do you think it will take to see justice for this case for Dexter Wade? I hear Crump say he matters. His life matters. We want the officials to know it.
If anybody gonna get truth for Dexter Wade, it's gonna be Attorney Sweet and Kareem and us fighting whether we have to have a civil lawsuit or we are working in concert with the Department of Justice. Mm-hmm. But we will get to the bottom of this. We will get the answers.
Understand this.
Yes.
And Ben made me understand this. I just sued. Ben told me, and he said to me, Dennis, we may have to sue. He said, but the city and the public can stop this at any suit or whatever. They can resolve this at any time.
Yeah.
They can open their books and tell any of these families.
I didn't know that.
Make it right.
See, I didn't know that.
The Chokeway, you say he can call Ben tomorrow
and resolve this.
Oh, wow.
It happened with George Floyd.
Uh-huh.
It happened with Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
It happened with Andre Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It happened with Ahmaud Arbery. Once they make a decision they're going to do right, they got the power to do right.
So it doesn't have to be long and drawn out.
No, you don't have to put the family through all of this. You do not have to put the family through reliving the horror. You have the power to right the wrong. You all are the leaders. You control the government. I mean, they are the government. If they want Ms. Betterstein to have truth and justice, they can do it just as easy as waving their hand.
Mm.
Hold on, let me read you. When they were doing George Floyd, that's from Chokeway.
Stand with Black Lives Matter movement and all those engaged in civil disobedience against police brutality and the abuse of black bodies across the country and around the world. We must dismantle oppressive systems and strive for justice.
That's all you got to follow? And call you and resolve?
Yeah.
I want to ask you all this.
Anytime you want.
Yeah.
I was standing there. I want to make that point.
Make it clear.
was here.
Yeah.
And I was talking about suing and doing. I've been suing. He said,
Yeah.
Dennis, he said, calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I'm here. They can resolve this anytime. They can do right by this family.
And that's why we got to continue with the public pressure to tell the leadership, until you do right by Dexter Wade family, we ain't gonna move on. Ain't nothing good gonna happen. So at this funeral, I suspect it's gonna be thousands of people in that church.
Wow.
Probably 50 cameras going all across America saying what's going on in Jackson, Mississippi. That's right.
Now,
just like Tyree Nichols.
Just like Tyree. Yeah. That's right. Now, I spoke with Kristen Clark myself in Lexington. She was just there the other night. And I asked her, I said, listen, I can't ask enough. When will there be a database, federally speaking, that will allow us to track the bad officers? It's not all bad, because my husband is law enforcement. I think he's a good guy. When will we get some type of database? And she said something about George Floyd then.
Yeah, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
Yes.
If it's passed, there's a component of that allows a federal database, not only of who the police kill, but who are the police officers that kill the people, oftentimes marginalized, poor people, minorities, and they will kill you here in Jackson and then go across the county line and get another job because there's no system that you can type that officer name into and say, hold on, he had 8 excessive force claims previously. And that's what we got to cut out. It still comes down to transparency with Dennis Sweet. And I believe in giving people all the credit they deserve. When I was a young lawyer, Dennis Sweet, one of the greatest trial lawyers in America. We studied all this work he was doing. But it's about transparency. And that's what we were talking about, trying to get you all out here to see the exhumation. Transparency. The sunshine is a good disinfectant against this injustice.
That's powerful. What say you? What say you?
I think Attorney Crump and my dad, they summarize it. It's simple. You know, we talk about transparency, and we have an administration that ran on transparency, and we want to know what happened. And if one phone call could be made and say what happened, and give this family some justice.
Wow. Unbelievable. I'm blown away.
And see, I keep talking about this database, and I'm going to let you go, but I keep talking about this database, federally speaking. And, you know, that way we won't have a cop who has turned rogue to go over to the next county over and get a job, and, you know, it's not documented or he's not followed. And I understand that these agencies are short, but we don't need rogue cops with badges.
That's right. That's right.
Citizens.
Yep, they got to go.
He talked about sunshine is a great disinfectant. What do you think? And I think he meant when it comes to exposing all of the injustices. And he used it shortly after he talked about transparency.
I think that light always needs to shine. The problem is that we cut the light off after we shine on one ugly situation. The same light that was shining on Michael Jenkins needs to be shining on this brother here as well. That the light needs to stay on, and that's why I talked about the DOJ having a headquarters down there.
Yes.
I mean, it's just that bad. So I need a whole headquarters down there. So again, the light needs to shine. It don't need to shine temporarily. It needs to shine on a consistent basis.
Now, he said they can make this go away. But today in the press release, he said that they're calling in the Department of Justice. So it's no way that this is going away anytime soon, or could it?
Well, that basically, what that does is just kind of closes the case in a sense. And what that means is that they can make it go away, but they're really waiting on us. They're waiting on us to make a move.
What do you mean?
They're waiting on us to give up. Like some of these cases have taken a year. It took Sandra Bland mother a whole year to get justice. And they got tired of them demonstrating and saying hashtag say her name.
Yes.
So what happened is because they didn't stop is why she received $1 million.
Do you think? Go
So in
on.
saying that, I think of the key is that they can make it go away tomorrow, but they're waiting on us to go away tomorrow. And that's why they did. That's why in ranking they knew that we wasn't going to stop. They knew that they seen that it was going to only get bigger and bigger. Brother Kareem was there, I was there, Coach was there, you was there, Malik was there, Black Panther was there, Nation of Islam was there. They knew it was only going to get bigger. It wasn't getting smaller. They wouldn't
Let
get. We didn't get weary and say we wasn't coming to Mississippi
no,
12, 11 hours.
no.
They knew it was only going to get bigger, so they had to make a move.
They brought a charter bus.
They sure did. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Yeah, it's only gonna
Brother,
get bigger.
Brother Kareem organized where a charter bus could come.
Mm-hmm. That's how
And
you do it.
and after that, it's like they were like, you know what? Let's keep these people out of our town.
Yeah.
Brandon out of our county. And it's
Mm-hmm.
and Brother Barnett, because one of the country singers
Mm-hmm.
was supposed to come through there, well-known country singer,
Mm-hmm.
and he did not
Yeah.
come. And they said he's known for fighting for just injustices.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, I'm gonna
he did
start
that.
supporting that brother. Luke Curry or Luke something was his name.
Yes,
Yeah.
Luke. And so he didn't even stop by. He just flaked on him. He just
Yeah.
no going to Rankin County.
I'm so glad he did that. So
And
glad.
that's money. That's revenue that was
Yeah.
already counted.
He probably was gonna get about 40,000 that show. Seriously. He's gonna get about 40,000 that show.
And
Easy.
he sacrificed it.
Mm-hmm. 30 to 40 easy. Because he's a hot artist right now.
And I wonder if those demonstrations, he caught wind of it, because I was told that he fights for people who have been done wrong.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he did.
And so that was amazing to see. I think that's about it. I'm going to play the Broal for the people who are just tuning in and who didn't know that we had Brother Damian Pickett on the show earlier on. You guys will get a chance to see that in the replay. We talked about how we could build better blackness, which is the name of the show, this segment. Usually I do Delta Sip, where we sip slow and talk what we know, but we're talking now about solutions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to just talk about it, but what are some solutions? How can we get that family unit back? How can we get those dads and moms walking in the park with their children, and not just their children, some other children who may need a mentor? How can we begin to heal in our community? And so that's what this show is about, building better blackness. I've done this show several times on YouTube with a brother of mine out of the Carolinas named Tyrone, and we would take phone calls and everything. And so I'm just spearheading it again, starting it right back up with you guys. And what better way to do it than to have the guy from the Montgomery Broal speak to us firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an exclusive, a Mississippi exclusive.
That's right. That's right.
And you said the only person he had spoken with was Robin Roberts.
That's correct. Good Morning America. That was it.
Good Morning America. And so it is truly an honor. Brother Barnett, thank you so much for allowing us to have that interview with him. Somebody says we have to, Nicole Wallace, we have to uplift each other and stop coming at each other over simple things. That's true. We pick our battles.
Mm-hmm.
And why are we battling anyway? We have battled enough to last for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just love on each other. Girls, ladies, let's love on each other, man. Let's compliment each other on how nice we look, how good we sound, how we're doing a great job with our children. How, hey, I saw you in traffic and I saw you let that lady walk by. That was a great thing. Let's have this stuff trending.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring good stuff. Let's be our own reality show from now on. Let's leave other garbage in 2023. So y'all got several more weeks with this foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
But I would much rather us practice now on how we're going to enter into 2024, right? And so instead of us just, talking about foolishness, and I'm guilty of it too. Let's uplift. Let's pick somebody to pick on about something that's good.
That's true.
I want to play this Broal one more time, and then we're going to go on out. And all of this is because they were given a directive to move their boat so an incoming boat could come, and they gave him all of this. And now on tomorrow, there's going to be a press conference where you're going to actually speak to the local media and national media about them trying to bring him up on charges. And what type of charges are these again?
Third degree, which is the lowest form of assault that you can, present to someone and charge someone with. So it's third degree assault.
But it's in Alabama, so that could be like a felony in his mind. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What's interesting is that two of the 4 or 5 suspects, 2 have already pleaded guilty and did their time. So it appears to be very serious as it relates to these individuals today. 2 of them went to court today and said they're not pleading guilty. They want to take it to trial. So they took a big risk in doing that. So we'll see how that irons out for them. So they should get active prison time if they lose.
I want to commend you, Brother John C. Barnett. You take so much time out. You sacrifice to be with our people, to make certain that they're not taken advantage of, and that you're standing in solidarity with them to make certain that, hey, they know that they're not alone. And I know this is not your first time talking to Brother Damian Pickett, because I spoke with him shortly thereafter and encouraging him to take a stand then. And again, you said Robin Roberts wrote a personal note to him.
That's correct.
And she's not done that in over 20 years.
That's
because
correct.
She doesn't have to. But I think she understood the significance more so than Mr. Damian Pickett did at that moment.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And so we have to make certain that we are patient with our brothers and sisters who are victims. Okay.
That's exactly right.
Because that's what he is, in my opinion. And it's like with anything else, it takes time, like you said, because I was like, he should have said something to you back then, Brother John C. You went there, you used your gas, and so I'm hearing you say, no, we have to be patient.
Like the plant I told you.
Yeah.
Once you put the seed in the ground, you have to wait for it to grow. You can't force it to grow the next day.
Yeah.
You have to wait for the plant to grow.
And 90 days after it happened, he was hit with a charge.
Yeah. He called us back.
And he called you back.
Yeah.
And what is your phone number? Can you give your number to people who may be?
Yes, we sure can. Yeah, phone number is 803-412-6854. South Carolina line. Carolina 803-412-6854. I don't know if they can see that. So that's our number.
8, and I was going to put it up on the screen as well.
Yeah, I can do this like this.
Yeah, that looks good. They can see it. So
So that's our number.
That'll work.
And we have lawyers in 15 states. We've been blessed to get 32 cops fired and 32 men and women out of jail in 9 years. So we love our job, very passionate about, and we're pro-client. We don't do that behind the closed doors type meetings. We're pro-client. And I would say 79% of my clients are guilty, but they still shouldn't be excessively charged.
Yeah.
White men go to prison or if they even go to prison or jail for cocaine for 2 years. But a brother gets 12 years for crack cocaine. You
Yeah.
can't make lemons without lemonade. So it's the
Yeah.
same drug.
Yeah.
So that part of the justice system is unbalanced.
You know,
And so,
something crossed my desk and it was heartbreaking. There's a 22-year-old young white man, and I think he was incarcerated in Alabama.
mhm,
He was supposed to be released in like 2 weeks. They said this young man had been rented out by an inmate and used up sexually, assaulted. And not only was he assaulted in one facility, they took him from one and put him in another one.
mm,
And he died there. Um, I don't wish this on anybody.
that's
And we
right.
have our black men see this. I believe that young man was in there for something nonviolent. But and then they went on to say that he owed somebody $10.
Hmm.
Just imagine how our black men are being treated.
Hmm.
Brother John C. Barnett, they had done studies on prison systems, and how they use rats, put them in facilities as if they were, locked up. And after a while, they began to do homosexual acts to each other, the rats.
Hmm.
So you have people out there studying what's going on. But I tell people the Norwegian prison system is one of the best, according to research and statistics, when it comes to reforming inmates. They don't go back. The Norwegian prison system, I want you guys to go and look it up. I dare not say it's a resort, but when they
Hmm.
get there, they are treated like human beings. They are not treat. Oh man, Mexico got some horrible prisons. America, and there's some other ones. And we have to always make certain that we keep these people in our prayers, because it could your life could change in a blink of an eye,
Hmm.
and you could get caught up in this system, and everybody in prison is not guilty. But can you imagine you being somewhere 20 years, you're let out finally, and then you die so many months or weeks after you were released because you were never guilty. That
Hmm.
happened in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
We had a brother released finally. But
Hmm.
just imagine, black men already have strikes against them when they're born. And I just want to encourage our women to uplift our black men. Find something to uplift them about. Not just, my brother called it building you up and tearing you back down. Not that. Don't build them up and tear them down. Build them up and leave it there. Just
Hmm.
leave it there. And on that note, brother, did you want to take us out with anything? I'm so grateful that you brought Damian Pickett over so that he could talk to us here in Mississippi and throughout.
No, just for everybody that's in Mississippi, please show up on the 15th, 16th, 17th, either the 16th, 17th, 18th. I'm getting those dates mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
For the sentencing of the 6 officers of Record County.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that would be our last request for those in Mississippi. And
Mm-hmm.
also to contact us if they need access to an attorney at the number we provided earlier.
Thank
But in particular, show up for court, few
you.
minutes, few hours, whatever the sentencing time frame may be. It won't be that long for them to say, hey, you're getting X amount of years. But I
Yeah.
think our presidents will make an impact to make sure they get their fullest extent
Yeah.
of the punishment that they need and deserve.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much, Brother John C. Barnett and people. We are talking about building better blackness. And hey, the show is over. My name is Angela Buckner, the voice behind the mic, and I gotta go. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good night.